Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, I am doing a chit chat, get ready with me. And the questions that I will be answering is how I got my foot in HR. I do have a lot of tips that I would like to share with you guys today. Also, if you're interested in changing your career path, I think the tips and advice that I have in this video would definitely help you as well.
You're there. Baby, we can do this all night. Keep on second guessing our love, oh love. I don't really care if you don't mind. Baby, we can do this all night.
Now I am doing my makeup, but all the products that I use in this video are not going to be mentioned. I'm going to leave them down in the description bar. But if I was going to work, this is exactly how I would do my makeup. So I'm just going to spray my face really quick before I get started. So let's quickly just break down HR. There's so many different jobs that come with HR that I think you guys would be excited about. So the first one I want to mention is recruiting. If you like talking to people, you want to help people get jobs, I highly recommend you getting into recruiting. There is talent acquisition. You can get into benefits, and benefits breaks down into leave of absence, so LOAs, as well as FMLA. You can also do workers' comp. You're mostly going to work with legal if you're in workers' comp. So if anybody gets hurt on the job, you're basically going to have to deal with the employee and the insurance. So that's a great opportunity. As an HR generalist, you will touch pretty much everything. PAFs, you will help out with benefits, workers' comp. You will also get into investigations, unemployment, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in being a generalist, those options are always open. HR assistant and HR coordinator kind of go hand in hand. You mostly deal with PAF, so personal action forms. Those forms are promotions, demotions, terminations, status changes with an employee's personnel file. You do a lot of Excel work, so you do a lot of reporting for the company. Sometimes you do reporting for managers or payroll. If you guys just like filing documentation, I'll tell you a lot of companies still use paper. I've only worked with one company that was electronic. An HR coordinator also does exit interviews, and sometimes a lot of companies tend to outsource doing exit interviews, so they'll get another company to do that because, wow, I didn't know that was going to be white. Basically, an exit interview is when someone from HR, or like I said, a third party, reaches out to you asking, hey, why did you leave this company? So was it the pay, benefits? Were you just not happy with management? That kind of stuff. So sometimes employees are scared to say, you know, what happened. So talking to a third party that has nothing to do with the company per se, they feel more comfortable talking to them. I also forgot to mention payroll. HR and payroll go literally hand in hand. You do everything together. As I mentioned, PAF, the personal action forms, if an employee gets terminated or if there's a pay rate change, that kind of stuff, you're dealing with payroll nonstop. So let me give you a little bit of background information about me. I come from retail prior to all of this. So I worked at Walgreens for about 8 years. For some reason, I always thought I was gonna work at Walgreens for like ever. One thing about Walgreens or just any type of retail job, you're not gonna learn the office experience, meaning using Outlook, using Excel, using PowerPoint. Once I left Walgreens in 2013, I got a job at ADT. And ADT is a security company, so a lot of you guys probably have ADT security. And I was the person who actually talked to the technicians regarding an installation. So once they were done with the installation, they would call me and I would give them confirmation on that job. The system that ADT used, you could use your mouse when talking to a technician, but the managers wanted you to move pretty fast. When I was giving confirmation to a tech, it literally only took me like a minute because I moved so fast using all those hotkeys that the managers taught me. And using those hotkeys actually helped me get a lot faster on the computer and just in other areas as far as like Excel and doing certain things in Outlook. So I think those skills actually help me a lot. So I'm happy about that. And one thing I will say about being in an office environment, be computer savvy. Have some type of computer skills. That is so important. And the reason why I say this is because when I used to train, I remember helping people that never used a computer. And I know that may sound crazy, but they've never turned on a computer, didn't know how to unlock the computer, using username and passwords. That was very hard for people. I would highly recommend you knowing a little bit about computers if you are trying to work in an office setting. And this doesn't just go for HR, this is any office. Another thing I want to put out there, and this is kind of like a disclaimer, for any job, especially to me in HR, if you have any biases, you don't like a certain type of person, you don't like a certain type of religion, you don't like working with people, HR is not for you. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't seen people and I haven't heard people's biases. If you enjoy talking to people, helping people, HR is for you. If you don't enjoy that, because when you are in human resources, you are dealing with those employees. You may not deal with them every single day, but you will start talking to these employees. Also, if you know anything about Excel, try to brush up your skills with Excel. We do a lot of reporting in HR. A lot of managers need a ton of reports to track their employees. If you do know a lot about Excel, the little formulas that you can use, I track a lot of stuff in Excel as well, especially if you're trying to get in payroll. Get comfortable with that. I know you can go online and watch some YouTube videos. So once I decided I didn't want to train anymore, and that was actually a very hard decision for me, I started looking for other jobs. But let me tell you guys, I have found every single job that I've wanted on Indeed. So I highly recommend just going to Indeed, typing in HR assistant, HR generalist, or just typing in human resources and seeing what jobs pop up. That has been so helpful for me. So I happened to find a HR scanner job on Indeed.com, and it was a temp job. So I was working through a temp agency, and basically it was only 20 hours a week, but I would scan their HR document and get them into an employee's file. Can I also mention, maturity is a huge thing for me as well. Working in HR, you're gonna see documents, you're gonna read statements that are insane. HR, you have a huge responsibility to keep that information quiet. You should not be talking about anybody's personnel file with anyone outside of HR. So you do have a ton of responsibilities. And like I said, you're going to see everything in HR about the company, about the employee. Don't say nothing. That's none of your business. For basically 3 months, all I would do is scan in documents. So they would give me a stack of papers. I would do their onboarding paperwork. I would also scan in their I-9s, drug tests, any certifications that they had. So I ended up talking to my manager and I said, you know what? I actually kind of like HR. I kind of like what I'm doing. Can you guys teach me a little bit more? When I say the girl that I work with taught me so much, like she went over and above for me, and I didn't realize it at the time of when I was learning all this. And so I did the onboarding. So I would enter in a new hire, get their I-9 information, make sure their I-9 information was correct. I also handled compliance for them as well. So I had to reach out to different locations, their supervisors, requesting their location, address, as well as sending them posters to put up in their location because we had worker comp issues. So if an employee got hurt on the job, you can go to that poster, get that phone number, and call about it. I had to stay on track with that, and I did track that through Excel. They also had me doing PAF, so promotions, demotions, termination, status changes, pay rate changes. I did all that, communicated with the managers to get the correct information so I could process it for payroll. Remember, payroll works hand in hand. So like I said, the girl at this job taught me so much. She also taught me how to write professional emails. And I know that may sound crazy. Sometimes we want to talk the way we talk in real life, but you have to bring all that back. You're in a professional setting, so you need to talk professionally, especially in emails. And a lot of stuff can get misconstrued in an email, so I try to get my point across very nicely, but if I need something, I make that very clear. I would recommend going online and kind of seeing how people write emails just to get a better understanding. I worked for this company for about a year and 4 months, and I still work through the temp agency. So the temp agency paid me, but I just work with the company. We never had an issue. It just worked out that way. So once my temp job finally ended, I still wanted to be in HR, but I kind of wanted to bring it back to filing, scanning, all that good stuff. I didn't want to be pushed into doing PAFs and all that stuff, doing compliance. I didn't want to be pushed into that right away. So I said, let me go find another file job. Let me tell you, I found it. So the next company that I ended up working for, I was I was basically the file coordinator. And so all I would do is file and pull files for managers, investigators, that kind of stuff. I would just pull the files and let them review it. I would say a week into that job, I was, getting the company caught up. This company also had a ton of paper as well. They were not electronic like my previous company. So therefore, I was basically getting, a file and building the employee's file that way. The file room that I worked in, it was pretty big. It was a good size, but just seeing all that paper when you walked in, you're just like, whoo. And also, I'm one of those people, I have to know why I'm doing something so I get a better understanding of what's going on. Like, how does this report affect payroll? How does this report affect the managers? That kind of stuff. So that's kind of like how my brain goes. I have to know why I'm doing something in order to make a lot more sense for me. Within that week, let me tell you, I was breezing through stuff because the previous job taught me so much about how to file documents, meaning where everything goes, where new hire paperwork goes, where their background checks should go, because that's going to be in a totally different section, where offer letters, job descriptions, that kind of stuff, everything that you sign when you apply for that job, how to properly document that information. I actually handle unemployment at the current job that I'm in right now. And this is all I'm going to say about unemployment because I don't want to get too deep. I don't want people asking me questions about it. Remember how you quit a job. How you quit the job can definitely determine your unemployment. So like I said, going back to the previous job, I started doing their personal action forms, and that was basically all I did for a long time because we were kind of behind with that information. When you're dealing with PAFs, I try to have a 1 to 2 day turnaround, meaning I need all my information within those 2 days. So I like to get my information quick. And another thing, if you are working in HR, build relationships with managers. I'm going to tell you now, I've dealt with some managers that only talk to you when they need something. And if you don't give them that information now, they'll start CCing your manager. They'll start CCing the director on you. I've dealt with some characters. So I would say PAFs can be very stressful at times. But for me, I like to build relationships with those managers. Therefore, when I need something, you give me my information right away. The girl who did compliance for this job ended up leaving. And so I had to take over compliance. And I was very hesitant on compliance because it was medical compliance. I didn't understand flu shots, hepatitis B shots. And the job that I worked for, they were security officers in hospitals. So it was certain things that the employee needed to have in order to work in the hospital. It was so much paperwork to go through. Besides, you have to file compliance separately than a regular personnel file because of HIPAA laws. Remember, I told you can also do leave of absence. I'm not too familiar with leave of absence, like the rules or policies. So therefore, I can't really speak on it, but there's a ton of information online that you can look up. If that's a field you want to get into, you will be dealing with the employee almost every day. Sorry, I have to be quiet when I do my eyeliner. Let me just kind of bring it back for you guys. Working in an office setting, you want to bring as much of your experience to the table to make a company want to hire you, because for one, if you do not have a degree or a certification in that field, experience does help. Being able to properly communicate verbally as well as written. Remember, I got on through a temp agency, getting all of that experience without having a certification, without having a degree. And if somebody is willing to give you this information and they know you don't have a degree, but they're just trying to help you, suck that information up. It's going to help you in the long run. Don't keep telling people, well, that's not my job. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not what I signed up for. Don't get into the habit of saying that. And that's at any job. Sometimes I get certain things are not your job, but if you learn that little tip, that can definitely help you get further. Sometimes I want to be like, I don't work in payroll. I don't know how to deal with these people's checks. But let me tell you, learning that information, you can utilize it in so many different aspects of your job. Networking is always good. Try to get a little more involved in the company. You never know who you're going to see if you're at a volunteered event. You might be working with the VP of HR. You might be working with the CEO of the company. You just don't know. And so I also say, be careful what you say, how you present yourself. I totally forgot to say this. Social media. If you think companies are not looking at your social media, you got a whole nother thing coming. I try to avoid anything posting as far as like company. Even if I'm upset with something at work, I'm not gonna post it on my social media. Companies look at social media, believe it or not. I've seen in my stories previous managers I've worked with, we didn't even like each other and you're checking on me. So I would be very careful. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video, of what you post. So HR is actually like a really fun job. And honestly, I don't think I can work for a company without knowing all of the little secrets and what goes on behind the scenes. I know I can't say anything, but it's just like good to know. When working in HR, you kind of got to be cool with everybody, because you never know when they're gonna have to help you or when you're gonna have to help them. So HR is a very tight-knit group. Now, if I was to come on here and tell you guys HR is not a stressful job, I really enjoy talking to employees, and I also really enjoy communicating with managers and building that relationship where they can trust that if they send me something, I will be able to properly execute their request. And that makes me feel good. So that is why I really do enjoy being in HR. And I know you guys are watching me do my makeup right now. And if you think I'd look like this every single day, that would be a lie. But I would say you are the representation while working in HR, and you never know when an employee is going to come up to you. I work in corporate office, so I deal with a lot of professionals. I deal with legal, I deal with the CEO, the VP of HR. I see these people every day, and so I do want to look as presentable as possible. I don't want to sound shallow, but appearance does make a difference. I'm not just saying this from an HR standpoint, I'm saying this for any job. So the burning question that you guys all wanna know, what do I do every day? So basically, I'll just give you a run through. When I log into my computer, the first thing I check, of course, is Outlook. Remember, you need to know Outlook. And how to email. I mean, anything can come through my email throughout the day. A manager asking a question, time cards, why I didn't get paid, that kind of stuff can come through there. So you just filter through the emails and get them to the appropriate person. Another project that I work on are I-9. So I do a lot of audits. So once I'm done with the unemployment and viewing I-9, we are the frontline employees. So we have to know everything that's going on with the company, just in case an employee asks us a question, we are all aware. So a lot of meetings happen in HR. I work with payroll to make sure that employees get their W-2s, especially if they termed like the previous year. I do a lot of data entry throughout my day. So you do have to make sure you're putting in correct information. So as of now, that kind of like sums up everything I do. So I'm just gonna do my lips really quick. I hope this gave you a better understanding of HR. Look at these heatless curls popping. Once I take my 2 braids out though, I do kind of like pick my hair just to get rid of my part and blend everything together. I try not to comb out the curls too much since they are heatless. Let me also mention, because I totally forgot to say this, remember how I told you guys appearance is important? I'm not saying that you have to be dolled up like this every single day, but right next to me, the office that I work in, the senior VP of HR sits right there. Like her office is right there. So as a reminder, the CEO can walk by, legal can walk by, directors, I sit right there. So if you guys want to see my outfit, so let's go ahead and start with these shoes first. So the heels that I have on are from Target. They do have a low heel, which is very helpful because you are walking around all day and you don't want your feet to hurt, but you still want to look cute. The leggings that I did get are from Target as well. These have a zipper on the side as well as a button to get into these, and they're super comfortable. The turtleneck that I have on, and I know you guys are thinking, why are you wearing a turtleneck in the summertime? If you are working in an office environment, it does tend to get really cold, especially if you're just sitting on the computer all day. So I try to wear long sleeves all the time in the office. It comes in handy, I promise. Last, I try to pair my outfits with a cute purse. This kind of just brings the whole look together, especially when I'm going to lunch. As I mentioned, I do not dress like this every day, so don't think this is the standard of how you're supposed to look. But if you are attending a lot of meetings that day, you want to make sure you look presentable. Of course, you made it to the end. I hope my advice and the tips that I gave you, if you are interested in HR, I hope this was very helpful for you. I'm happy that you guys can see the umbrella of human resources and how it trickles down. You don't have to just be an HR generalist. You can work in payroll, you can work in benefits, talent acquisition, you could be a recruiter. There's so many different job options in human resources. If this video was helpful for you, please do not forget to give me a big thumbs up. Also, by sharing my video, this helps me get to a wider audience. So I would be so grateful if you could share this video and also subscribe to my channel before you leave. You guys know I miss you when I'm not here. I love you guys and all the support you show me. And until my next video, bye.
Baby, we can do this all night. Keep on second guessing our love, oh love. I don't really care if you don't.